Man, that's so true of life, you know? It starts off like that. You know? Calls for so much attention, gives off so many impulse information, and it speaks of its own language in its own language, sufficing enough that you translating is irrelevant. It's unnecessary, you know? But let's just put it like this. Right about now, I just had a nice walk, you know, and you wanted to be the factor that I had accounted for, you know? So if I put it like this, you know, if you've turned my bad behavior as your ground, the place where you stand at, the place where you're constantly speaking to me from, it's my power, right? My existence, my power, my bad self, okay? It's mine, for one. Let's understand that. Mine, right? So now you who wants me to consider you as an external variable, you understand that me being bad is my power. You understand this, right? So let's regard this. Now we look at the rest of reality. So what is it that you're doing here every time you're talking to me from this point? You're connecting me to that side of myself, right? The bad side of myself, the disrespectful side, the blasphemous side, the, you know, too much real and too much truth for you to want to realize it, actualize it, yet here you are constantly bringing that reality to connecting mindsets and states of reactivity, responses, you know, basically an endless conversation that you're insisting upon, you know, having the factor saying you're the reason, you know? I mean, all this help, all these people who are going and put through all these circumstances. I mean, not only have you been the poison you fed them, but you showed up to be also the very cure, you know? So as I'm going through it, as I'm seeing myself in these states of mind, in my own thinking, trying to be free rather than directed or fighting or deflecting or reflecting or constantly in either responses, aiming to aim away from reactivity. That way, you know, we're processing our information rather than, you know, managing it with what's basically the fear factor, you know, your body pumped with adrenaline, cortisol rushing and running, stressed, basically, and overwhelmed because all of a sudden you're Superman in that moment. All of a sudden you could hear your heartbeat. All of a sudden you could hear the world around you. All of a sudden you could hear every thought. All of a sudden you're free. But you're made to face that moment as if somehow, for some reason, you should overlook your power and your freedom. That's what I'm hearing, right? This is the experience that you're so insistent that I record and put out into the real world. For what reason? I mean, I know there's plenty of trauma out there. There's already plenty of people looking for someone to fix them, someone that they could run to, someone who could, you know, acknowledge them without acknowledging them so that they don't be seen in their, what the whole world has basically guilted, tripped them, you know, love bombed them, shamed them, or simply, you know, took them to school and showed them how to think looking for problems and then how to think looking for solutions and then weaponized it against you so that, you know, every time you hear a problem, you see a problem and you're ready to solve it and you have the answer and you're ignored or it just doesn't matter because it's just to you. So you fixed it. But now something in you still rising up. It wants validation. It wants confirmation. It wants acknowledgement. It wants attention. You know, I mean, you're already here to live your life and then transcend that, you know, and throughout your living, you're constantly dying. You know, you don't wait to die. Death doesn't await you. You encounter it, catch it, match it, and then hatch up something new every single instant of your entire living. From the moment you were born, you start to die, as I've heard it put. So with that essential, I mean, you were here to traumatize me with what? The idea of death, of fear, to navigate me or get me to navigate myself in what way? Threatening myself, endangering myself, trying to prove things to myself, or missing myself so much that I'm here putting it on camera. You know, I'm here entertaining people. I'm here, you know, more lost than you could ever hope to be, you know, but very well found in all that, just to be all the same, like you, overlooked, missed, or too overly wanted to be focused on and attended to. Thus, but in my own perception, because there's the middle ground, there's the higher ups, and then there's the higher bottoms, and so that's all there is, and then you're the high that's in between, because all only thing that we care about is the highs, it's all about how high you can go, even in the low. How high can you go? It doesn't matter what state of mind. How high can you go? So right here, you're here telling me I shouldn't be an ego because you raised me this way, that I shouldn't fly high. Yeah, here you do. You show up. Not only do you pluck my feathers, you skin me alive, take away all my muscle, leave me just a bone structure, and then you tell me to fly. And then you get mad because I fly. Hello? I mean, does anybody see a fucking problem in this? Or am I just being, again, dramatic, too well trained, too well to acknowledge my performance? Because, hey, why wouldn't I bring myself to nature and freedom to put myself in a good act, to see myself and allow myself to be free? While you're here trying to acknowledge my drama and trying to get me to feed into it, get caught up in my own acting, my own performing, I'm here being free. I mean, I don't really care about what the next guy's looking at and seeing and thinking. It doesn't matter. I mean, that guy's probably too caught up in his business, which is cool. I don't got time to sit there and play with him. Let me tune myself into micro and macro within the ideas, which are dumbass ignorance, ignoring the fact, and the entire time basically avoiding coherence and just bringing us to, I made you feel small when you wanted me to make you feel big, or I made your idea look small when you wanted it to look big, or I didn't meet your idea right where it was at because instead I stood where I was at so I could bring you a fresh point and perspective on your idea. But again, we're too caught up in the, were you feeling something? Because I remember, I mean, if you grow up in the hood, the first thing you're taught is who gives a, and then so on and so forth, So from that aspect, it's like you brought me my truth. I'm living in it. I'm so tainted and painted and able to attain myself because you've taught me how to be free. And sure, it took me judging not myself and not my actions, not my reactions, not my emotions, not my thoughts, not your perceptions, not your points of views, not even my desire for what possible outcome I might have had in mind to aim for. Rather more just accepting the happening, the freedom of the moment that it has the chance to express itself freely. No matter how imprisoned I am, how not imprisoned I am, how free I am, how not free, I mean, the concept of whether I even want you to feel like I'm trying to prove a point, or I'm just here telling you I've acknowledged my end point and I know where it's at. I'm just navigating to get there. And along the way, I was told to do a few things since I'm not so interested in all the extras because I've been, conditioned to think of myself as less, as poor, as without, as able to basically see myself as one that had to do it the particular way described in humbling, And so, and I have you guys to thank for being my teachers, my every moment, my environment, my every challenge, my every so-called problem, I mean, even my difficulties in having to accept that my thoughts could, achieve and aim all that is bad just as quick and just as well as all that is good, and accepting that my machine, that is my biological existence, was made to do exactly that, So with all the technology and the expansion of the potential of, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I hear a video now, I watch a show, and while I'm watching the show, I notice that the sound within the show, in my own context of experiencing, sounds like it's a falling sound or a distant sound or a sound of moving away. So it brings me to ask myself, if they can do that with sound, if sound can be projected in the manner that we ourselves, without having to question whether it's true or fake reality, knowing that it's a fake reality recorded and just replaying, So essentially we can still hear that sound distinction that gives you the impression of distance, or a sound getting farther away or closer, and so if that's the case, I mean, in my own reality, clearly it's telling me that I can have sounds be projected, right? Which is like me speaking out, or maybe wanting a sound that projects within the dimension of a realm that's within a frequency, like a radio station, because then within the radio station, I can still speak to the degree, but you have to be tuned in. And so in that sense, I mean, it kind of brings me to think all this time, I mean, what about reality is like speaking to us? Is it the ground? Is it the air? Is it our flowing blood connecting with the fluid of what's this heavenly, film that we're pretty much inhabiting? Or, I mean, because the way when I stop and I look at the sky, I'm like, heavenly things are in motion. And I'm included in that heavenly thing that's in motion. That's looking just up at the stars and seeing all those heavenly bodies in motion. And then realizing that I'm one of those heavenly bodies, held within one of those heavenly bodies, And so the aspect of like being within Jesus Christ, the planet, I mean, or within the spirits, or, the physical inhabiting that I exist in right now. It all kind of brings you into a different perception and perspective of how you can see matters distinguished differently. Even though, to meet it, what we have to show up and meet it with is essentially knowing that, it was a male and a female that were already two halves to something else that came together, so it's almost like saying with humanity, what's been happening is, essentially it's been the 2, 4, 6, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, so on and so forth, and so, I mean, it's kind of what's been happening in our construct of DNA. That's the way it's been like multiplying, So, I mean, if you stop and you look at your generation, how many links, are you really holding together to be who you are? How many paths, how many, things that are, what it took to bring what is now you into the now, So it's like, I mean, essentially, people are a lot bigger than we realize. They just gotta, if they want to see it physically, that's physically. If you want to see it spiritually, then see it spiritually, And all that, just know, I mean, usually it tends to be the emotion that wants to be the boss, until you know how to navigate, which is like kind of like neutral, not exactly cold, not exactly hot, but neutral, which means you got to know how to combust both, the cold and the hot, So, yeah, that's just the state of mind. A few moments of your time. Hopefully I was worth you guys' moment and time invested, and it paid off. Hopefully y'all have a good rest of the day, eh?